dawn mist pooled in the zendo as the bell faded and sandals hushed. Master Rowan said, "Noah has left the path." The words felt like a blade slipped between ribs. Noah stared at the time and felt the room tilt. Grace steadied her breath and glanced at him without moving. Master Rowan said, "What you clutch becomes your cage." Noah thought of every hour he sat forcing stillness. Shame tasted metallic on his tongue. He wanted to protest, yet silence swelled like a tide. Sister June folded her hands and watched the incense curl. Noah whispered, "Then what am I holding?" Master Rowan said, "The idea of Noah." The bell struck again, and the hall seemed too bright. Wind rattled the shoji, and the shock rang longer than the bell. The rain eased to a hush as Noah walked the gravel path behind the hall. Pebbles ground under his sandals like restless thoughts. He remembered the sentence and felt emptied. Grace said, "Let the words pass like clouds." He wanted a thunderclap instead of clouds. The garden maple bled color into puddles. Noah said, "If I am clinging, why can't I feel the hands?" Grace said, "Because they are ideas, not hands." A stray cat slipped under the veranda and watched him. He envied its simple hunger. He paused by the bell tower and touched the rope. The rope felt rough and present. He breathed, and the breath did not answer. Master Rowan poured tea with a steadiness that made time feel slow. Noah watched steam coil like a thought he could not keep. Master Rowan said, "Names are nets." Noah said, "Then why give me one?" Master Rowan smiled without showing teeth. He slid a cup forward and did not push it far. Noah stared until the surface stilled. Master Rowan said, "Drink when you are thirsty." Noah wanted a map more than a cup. The room smelled of cedar and rain. A sparrow tapped the sill and flew off. Noah drank, and it tasted like water. At the gate, Lucas leaned against a wet post and smirked. Lucas said, "So the master finally called you out." Noah kept his gaze on the gravel. Lucas said, "You could leave and breathe real air." A truck down the road groaned and faded. Noah said, "Air is air." Lucas laughed and shook his head. He flicked rain from his jacket and studied Noah's robe. Lucas said, "You want a prize for sitting." Noah said, "I want to stop reaching." Wind tugged a prayer flag loose, and it snapped. Lucas said, "Reaching is how you stand." Noah breathed and let the flag flap. Night drew a thin line of moonlight across Noah's futon. Sleep came brittle and broke. In the fracture, a boy stood in the corridor and looked at him. Noah said, "Why do you come now?" The boy did not answer. Wind slid under the door like a whisper. The bell rope in his mind swung without sound. Noah said, "I wanted you to be gone." The boy raised a palm that mirrored his own. The silence turned heavy and kind. Somewhere, water tapped a basin. Noah breathed, and the boy breathed with him. Noah sat cross-legged in the meditation hall, his breath caught in his throat like a stone. Each count of inhalation felt broken, and each exhalation scattered. The candle flame wavered, though there was no wind. His heart raced with thoughts he could not tame. He clenched his jaw until it ached. Noah whispered, "Silence feels heavier than noise." The air pressed against his ribs like a wall. Master Rowan walked past him, sandal steps soft. Noah's eyes watered, and his knees trembled. The hall's stillness roared louder than thunder. He wanted to escape his own skin. Master Rowan stopped near the altar, his hands folded like quiet rivers. He looked at Noah with eyes that seemed both stern and kind. Master Rowan said, "A jar filled to the brim cannot receive." Noah said, "Then what am I to do with the water?" The old man turned his gaze toward the flickering candle. Master Rowan said, "Spill it." Noah's chest burned as if the words poured fire inside. The shadows leaned long against the walls. He lowered his head and pressed his palms together, but still felt hollow. The silence between them stretched like an ocean. By dusk, Noah sat under the eaves, rain dripping steady. His hands shook as he gripped his knees. He muttered, "I feel like a hollow drum." Grace approached quietly, placing her shawl around him. Grace said, "Even emptiness holds sound." He wanted to believe her, yet despair gnawed at his chest. Lightning flared across wet tiles. His breath broke into uneven gasps. He said, "If the path is real, why does it bleed me dry?" She said, "Because you fight it." The storm swallowed her words, leaving him shaking in both cold and doubt. Later, in the garden under a dripping maple, Grace sat across from Noah. Her voice was soft, yet unwavering. Grace said, "When I first came here, I could not stop crying." Noah looked up, startled. She smiled faintly. Grace said, "Peace came when I stopped chasing it." He clenched a fist around fallen leaves. He whispered, "What if I never stop chasing?" She touched the ground and let wet soil run through her fingers. Grace said, "Then the ground itself will teach you." He felt the ache in his chest shift slightly, like soil turning under rain. Night stretched thin across the courtyard as Noah confessed. The moon carved silver lines on stone. He said, "I feel like I am vanishing." Grace leaned closer, her eyes steady. She said, "Maybe that is the path." His throat tightened. He said, "I am afraid." She answered, "Fear is the gatekeeper, not the wall." The night air cut cold but alive. A breeze stirred the prayer flags and whispered like unseen voices. Noah closed his eyes and breathed, the sound finally softer, as though for a moment the weight of the day lifted. Noah sat before the altar, a single candle flickering. Master Rowan set down a heavy stone bowl filled with water. He said, "Keep it still until I return." Noah's arms trembled as he lifted it. The water rippled with each breath. He whispered, "I cannot even hold stillness." The sound of footsteps faded beyond the hall. The weight pressed his wrists and shoulders until his body quaked. His jaw clenched and sweat slid across his temple. He thought of dropping it, ending the trial, ending the shame. The bowl trembled, and water spilled. His chest knotted as if he had broken himself. Master Rowan returned after long silence, his face unreadable. He looked at the spilled water, then at Noah. Rowan said, "You must break before you can be whole." Noah's eyes burned. He said, "I am already broken." Rowan set a hand on the altar and watched the smoke coil. Rowan said, "Then stop mending what was never torn." Noah's breath hitched, confusion a storm inside him. He gripped his knees, trembling. The hall pressed in, and silence stretched like iron. His shame deepened, yet a strange spark flickered beneath the weight. In the courtyard, Lucas leaned on the railing, smirking. Lucas said, "So he made you play servant to a bowl of water." Noah's jaw tightened. "Nim." Lucas laughed. "What did you expect? Enlightenment in a teacup." Rainwater dripped from the eaves behind him. Noah said, "It was more than that." Lucas shook his head and spat on the stones. He said, "You're wasting your youth on riddles." Noah's silence was heavy, but his fists closed. Lucas said, "When he breaks you, don't say I didn't warn you." At dusk, the garden lanterns flickered alive. A stranger appeared by the gate, cloaked in black eyes sharp as a blade. The catalyst said, "A bowl of water is heavier when you cling." Noah startled, unsure if he was real. The man smiled thinly and said, "Lose your grip or drown in it." Before Noah could reply, the stranger turned and melted into shadows. Noah's breath came shallow, his heart beating hard. The words rang inside him, unsettling, impossible to ignore. He felt chased by his own reflection. Later, Noah collapsed on the steps of the meditation hall. His body shook from exhaustion. He muttered, "I cannot hold anything." His hands pressed to his face, damp with tears and sweat. The night air cut sharp, carrying scent of pine. Grace approached and laid a hand on his shoulder. She said, "Then stop holding." He looked up at her, eyes wide with pain. The hall loomed above, silent, implacable. He said, "If I let go, I vanish." She whispered, "Maybe that is where you begin." The meditation hall was quiet except for the faint crackle of a lantern. Master Rowan sat before Noah, eyes calm, hands resting on his knees. Rowan said, "Your suffering is not in the task. It is in your grasping." Noah clenched his fists, his chest aching. He whispered, "I only wanted to be worthy." Rowan said, "You were never unworthy." The words struck harder than any rebuke. Noah's breath faltered, and his eyes blurred with tears. Rowan leaned forward slightly and said, "The one who suffers is the illusion you feed." Noah lowered his head, shaken by a truth he did not want yet, could not deny. In the courtyard, Grace's voice trembled as she revealed her past. She said, "I once begged the master to release me. I thought my pain too heavy." Noah looked at her, startled. She smiled faintly, but her eyes carried weight. Grace said, "He told me the pain was not mine to carry." Noah whispered, "Then whose was it?" She let the rain drip from her fingers and said, "No one's. Only the river flowing." The air smelled of wet earth, and Noah felt the ache in him mirror hers. He saw her calm, but also the scar beneath it. That night, Noah walked near the gate, where the catalyst appeared again, leaning against the post. The man said, "You grasp because you fear emptiness." Noah frowned, anger rising. The man laughed softly, voice like a riddle. "Catalyst," said, "but emptiness is the only cup that can be filled." Noah snapped, "Then why does it feel like death?" Catalyst stepped close, eyes piercing. He whispered, "Because you haven't died yet." Before Noah could speak, the man vanished into the shadows once more. Noah stood alone, his chest hammering, unable to shake the paradox burning in him. In the corner of the hall, the silent witness sat motionless. Noah entered, his footsteps loud against the quiet. He waited for words, but none came. The witness's gaze was steady, unmoving, like a still pond. Noah whispered, "Do you see me?" The figure did not respond. His silence weighed more than speech. Noah felt his breath stumble, then slow, mirroring the calm before him. He realized the silence was not absence but presence. The air between them grew thick, filled with meaning unspoken. Noah sat down, trembling less, surrendering into the shared quiet. That night, sleep fractured into visions. The shadow appeared as a younger version of Noah, eyes dark, face streaked with sorrow. The boy said nothing, only stared. Noah whispered, "You again." The younger self lifted a hand, showing a scar across the palm. Noah felt the weight of memories he had buried, failures, regrets, shame. His chest tightened until he could hardly breathe. He said, "I wanted to forget you." The boy's eyes glistened, but his silence pressed harder than words. Noah knelt, tears sliding, unable to deny the past any longer. The vision lingered, heavy yet necessary. Noah collapsed in the hall, his breath ragged, chest heaving against the silence. His hands clawed at the tatami, nails pressing into the straw. He shouted, "I cannot carry this anymore." His voice echoed, cracked. Lanterns trembled in the draft as if echoing his collapse. Tears spilled uncontrolled, dripping onto the mat. He pounded the floor until his arms ached. "Why am I cursed with this weight?" he cried. The silence gave no answer. His body gave way, slumping like a broken reed. Darkness pressed close, and despair swallowed him whole. Master Rowan entered quietly, his step soft against the boards. He looked at Noah, slumped, eyes swollen with grief. Rowan said, "Nothing was ever yours to carry." Noah looked up, face twisted in disbelief. He shouted, "Then what am I?" Rowan's gaze pierced like a mirror. He said, "Nothing, and therefore everything." Noah's breath froze, words caught in his throat. Rowan's stillness burned brighter than any flame. Noah fell forward again, surrendering to the ground. His tears mixed with sweat as the truth cut deeper than pain. In the courtyard, Lucas stood under the rain, his smirk gone. He muttered, "All I have is empty nights and heavier pockets." His voice cracked. Noah, watching from the veranda, felt the bitterness bleeding through. Lucas shouted, "Your silence won't save you." He pounded the wooden rail until his knuckles reddened. His bravado fractured, leaving only despair. Noah whispered, "You are not my enemy." Lucas turned away, shaking, his figure hunched against the storm. For the first time, Noah saw him not as a skeptic, but as a man bleeding from within. Back inside, Noah screamed into the silence, "Take it all from me." His cry shattered against the walls, echoing into stillness. His knees buckled, and he fell flat on the tatami. His body convulsed with sobs, his chest collapsing. In the pit of despair, something loosened inside him. Breath came, soft and deep. He gasped, but no weight pressed down. For the first time, silence did not suffocate him. He lay still, trembling, and whispered, "There is nothing left." Yet, the nothingness felt vast, alive, unchained. Noah opened his eyes, breath steady, body calm. The hall seemed alive, each sound distinct. The drip of water, the hum of silence, the faint creak of wood. He sat up slowly, back straight, tears drying on his cheeks. He whispered, "Peace." His chest felt hollow yet full, a vastness where pain once coiled. The weight of identity loosened like mist, dissolving in sunlight. He closed his eyes and breathed, the inhale and exhale flowing freely. In that instant, Noah felt as if he had touched something timeless. The hall glowed with dawn's first light, soft beams stretching across tatami. Master Rowan sat opposite Noah, their stillness almost mirroring each other. Rowan said, "Now you see, peace was never hidden from you." Noah lowered his eyes, feeling the truth press into him with strange gentleness. He whispered, "I feel as though I have lost the self I clung to." Rowan's gaze softened, his hands resting calmly on his knees. Rowan said, "Then you have found what cannot be lost." Noah's chest rose, his breath smooth, no longer jagged. The incense curled upward, light tracing the smoke like memory. The hall felt larger, alive, each sound distinct. The silence was no longer suffocating but spacious, like a clear sky after storm. Noah raised his head slowly, his shoulders free of their burden. Noah stepped barefoot onto the garden path, gravel crunching softly beneath him. The maple leaves swayed in morning breeze, their edges catching sunlight. He whispered, "Even the wind breathes with me now." Birds darted between branches, wings glimmering silver against sky. Each sound reached him whole, the dripping of water from eaves, the hum of insects in dew, the crackle of dry gravel shifting beneath his steps. He touched a leaf, its cool wet surface grounding him. His breath deepened, smooth as flowing water. He thought of nights filled with despair, how they pressed like stone, and now they felt like dreams dissolving in air. He smiled faintly, walking forward with no weight pulling behind him. The garden seemed less a place to escape into and more an extension of his own being, alive, present, unbroken. Grace sat by the pond, her reflection quivering as water rippled in the breeze. Noah approached quietly, his footsteps soft on damp earth. Grace said, "Your face carries ease now." He knelt beside her, eyes resting on her reflection. He whispered, "And yours carries truth, though it hides a wound." She smiled faintly, the corners of her mouth trembling. Grace said, "I once believed peace meant forgetting. I see now it means holding my pain without running." Noah reached out and touched the pond's surface, rings spreading outward until their reflections merged. He said, "Peace is not escape, it is embrace." Grace's eyes softened as she let silence finish her thought. The pond shimmered with light, their reflections stretching into one another, broken only by circles of ripples. In that moment, Noah felt her pain not as a weight, but as a bond. The temple corridor carried twilight light, soft beams stretching through open panels. Noah paused, feeling the air thicken with memory. The shadow appeared again, a younger self with eyes heavy and hands scarred. Noah stared, no longer recoiling. He knelt and whispered, "I forgive you." The boy's lips did not move, but the sorrow in his eyes loosened. The scarred palm lowered, no longer an accusation but a gesture of release. Noah's chest ached, but the ache was clean, like a wound healing. The boy's outline blurred, fading into the light that filled the hall. Noah's breathing steadied, his shoulders softening as the vision dissolved. For the first time, the shadow of his past felt like part of him, not an enemy. He bowed his head, not in defeat but in acceptance, letting stillness take the place of shame. In the courtyard, the silent witness sat beneath the tree, still as stone. Noah approached slowly, his steps no longer hurried but steady, balanced. He bowed deeply, the gravel crunching under his knees. His breath flowed without strain. The witness gave no answer, only presence, but his silence spoke louder than words. Noah sat beside him, their stillness shared. The wind stirred prayer flags, their colors alive against blue sky. Noah whispered, "I am here." He did not need reply, the words dissolved into air. The world itself seemed to nod in quiet acceptance. The sound of wind, the flutter of cloth, the rhythm of breath, each was whole. He felt no need to grasp or search. He sat, complete in the moment, the silence now, a companion instead of a cage. The morning light spread slowly across the meditation hall, filling every corner with a quiet brilliance. Master Rowan stood near the altar, his robe flowing softly with the draught, eyes deep as still waters. His silence carried the weight of finality. At last he spoke, his voice low yet steady, "The path you walk is yours alone. No hand can carry you beyond this step." Noah bowed deeply, his chest pressing to the tatami, his heart calm where once it raged. He whispered, "You have shown me what I refused to see." The words trembled, but held no desperation, only gratitude. Rowan's eyes remained fixed, his silence becoming the blessing itself. The incense smoke coiled upward like fading dreams, and the hall no longer felt bound by walls, but endless, as if it opened into the sky. Noah rose, shoulders light, and though Rowan's words had ended, the teaching lingered in every breath he took. The courtyard stretched bright beneath a sky washed clean by wind. Noah walked slowly across the stone path, the gravel crunching with each step. His movements carried no rush, each one belonging fully to the moment. Above him, prayer flags rippled in the breeze, their colors vivid against the blue expanse. He whispered, "Stillness walks with me now." The air carried scents of pine, whetstone, and faint incense carried from the hall. Birds traced arcs through the sky, their wings flashing silver in sunlight, their songs clear and whole. He paused near the gate, resting his hand against its wood, rough beneath his palm, grounding him in the present. For the first time, the world felt not like something to reach or conquer, but like something gently holding him. His breath joined the wind's rhythm, and his faint smile stretched, not of triumph but of ease. He no longer needed to ask for direction, for every step was enough. Near the temple's outer wall, Lucas leaned with shoulders heavy, his head bowed, the defiance gone. His jacket clung damp to him, and his voice cracked as he muttered, "All my nights are filled, yet none of them whole." His words carried bitterness, but also something fragile, a quiet longing hidden in their edge. Noah approached and stood near him, not intruding, only present. Their eyes met, and silence flowed between them without conflict. Lucas said softly, almost ashamed, "Maybe stillness is not weakness after all." His lips tightened as if regretting the confession, but Noah did not respond. Instead, he let silence hold the truth gently, without judgment. Lucas looked away, his hand tightening against the wood of the wall, but his shoulders loosened, the storm in him pausing for a breath. For a moment, Noah saw not an enemy, not a skeptic, but a man burdened by the same weight he had once carried. The temple grounds opened vast beneath the fading sun, their silence layered with subtle life. Noah walked slowly, robe brushing softly with each step, hands relaxed at his sides. The wind stirred the tall grass and rustled the branches above, a chorus of quiet movement. Birds called in the distance, their voices weaving into the evening air. Every sound was distinct, yet none broke the stillness. Noah stopped near the center, closed his eyes, and inhaled deeply, the world folding neatly into his breath. The silence was not emptiness but fullness. Vast and alive, like the sea stretching without shore. He felt himself dissolve into it, as if no boundary separated him from the earth, the sky, or the wind. When he opened his eyes again, the world glowed sharper. The golden light across the roofs, the long shadows on the stones, even the soft beating of his heart. He was no longer apart from it, he was within it, inseparable. On the hill's edge, Noah stood as the sun bled crimson and violet across the horizon, the valley unfolding endless below. He felt no hunger to chase it, no fear of missing it. His robe stirred in the cool wind, and he whispered, "I am not lost, I am here." His voice carried outward, dissolving into silence, as though the earth itself absorbed the words. The air pressed cool against his skin, steady and alive. Stars began to prick the deepening sky, the first lights of night. Noah's chest rose and fell, each breath clear, unbound, no longer tangled in the weight of what he was or was not. His eyes closed, and he felt the steady ground beneath his feet, the vast sky above, the living world around him, and the quiet within him, all as one. There was nothing to reach, nothing to escape, only this, complete and infinite. His heart rested, not in striving, but in being.